And then like 30 minutes later, I'm just sitting at my computer. I'm like, I'm just watching it. I'm just watching my gameplay footage because it's fun. It's fun to watch it. I'm watching myself fight the boss of the first dungeon because it's fun. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tales from the Backlog, a gaming deep dive podcast. I'm your host, as always, Dave Jackson, he, him.
And I am Roger Reichardt, he, him.
And today we'll be covering Minishoot Adventures. But first, if this is your first time here on the show, appreciate you stopping by first and foremost. Here's the spoiler policy. We're not going to spoil the story. This game does have, we'll say, light storytelling, but there are some kind of neat things that I would like to have a quick chat spoiler-wise about at the end of the show, and we'll save those for the end, as we always do. And if you like the show, please consider supporting however you can. There are a lot of free ways to do that. You can share the show in Discord servers. You can leave ratings and reviews on the podcast apps, like and comment if you're here on YouTube. And if you want to throw a couple bucks a month my way, you can do that at patreon.com/realdavejackson. Now, with that being said, you heard a friendly voice at the top of the show other than mine. It's Roger Reichardt back with me here, second time on the show. If you don't know him, he is a host of the Gamerheads Podcast and a writer, editor-in-chief of the site, and also a space fighter pilot. Roger, welcome back.
Well, thank you. I must have done something right to be invited back. I appreciate the invite.
Of course, yeah. I remember putting out the call for people who wanted to maybe talk about this game, and you jumped at the opportunity, and we'll talk about why you were eager to talk about it here very shortly. But it's glad to have you. I'm glad to have you back for another episode. Previously, we had an episode about the Plucky Squire. That was episode 152 of the podcast. And it's just great to have you back. This game's a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to just kind of go through it and talk about how much fun we had.
Yeah. I before we recorded, I said, don't worry, I like this game.
As if it was in doubt. Yeah. I guess I don't often talk about it with guests. It's not like a requirement. You have to like the game to come on the podcast and talk about it with me. But Minishoot Adventures is one of those games where like I was not at all worried that someone was not going to have a good time with Minishoot. So that game, let's set it up. It is Minishoot Adventures. It is a top-down shooter adventure game developed by Soulgame Stuidio and published by Indie Arc for PC in 2024. And in 2026 here, we had some console ports come out. So it's on the Switch, it's on your consoles. You can play it just about anywhere now. Main credits for Soulgame Stuidio, it's primarily two people. The credits give design, programming, music, and sound credits to Severin LaRose and art and UX UI to Adrienne Selle. Hopefully I'm saying the names somewhat correctly as always there, but primarily a two-person studio. We have additional support as always with games, but a very small team here with this game. And hey, if people don't know what Minishoot Adventures is, we have our quick pitches, like always, at the top of the show. My quick pitch is Bullet Hell plus Zelda plus gaming's most outrageous Apostrophe.
I love that. Mine is also Bullet Hell Zelda game with platformer elements.
Yeah, a little bit of that. And maybe we'll revisit the platforming. We'll revisit that Apostrophe later on. Playtimes. I played this on PC. I played this actually like at my computer with a controller. 9 hours to play for 100% map completion and the true ending. People who know me know that I don't do true endings very often. That's how much I like playing this. Roger, how about you? Where'd you play it? How long was your playthrough?
So I played on the Switch. I'm embarrassed to say I did not 100% it, and it took me about 8 hours to play.
Well, to be fair, 100%ing it's not like 100%ing Skyrim or something like that. You were probably fairly close, I would guess.
I was close. There was a moment where I got a little lost trying to find Dungeon 2. That's it was Dungeon 2 or Dungeon 3, the water one where you had to go on the turtle. I mean, I don't want to go too far,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
we had to
that's
get on the
okay. Yeah.
turtle. I
Mhm.
I couldn't figure out how to. I was like, "Where am I going? And then I was like, "Oh, so silly. There's the place I need to go." So it took me a little bit, but in the meantime, I was just like, "Well, I'm gonna clean up all this area that
Yeah,
I need to
right.
clean up, some of the dungeon areas." So I did that, um, but yeah, it was probably a little. It was actually probably a little bit over 8 hours, but it was. I did not get the true ending. I'll say that. I got
Okay.
an ending, not the true ending.
And ending. Yeah, we'll talk about those
Mhm.
endings a little bit later on. That's spoilers section territory, but a little tease for later, as they say. Now, I remember I was getting ready to play this. I had this on my backlog resolutions list for 2026 here. I got it as a Christmas gift from Aaron. Thanks, Aaron. If you're here, thank you. Um, and I put in one of our shared Discord servers, like, I'm going to be looking for a guest for Minishoot, and you jumped at the opportunity. So you had played it before me, and obviously there was something that drew you in. So what was it about Minishoot that you wanted to dive in, made you want to dive in?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I saw it on the Indie World report.
Hmm.
Um, and it was part of like I don't remember when it was, but it was in one of the Nintendo Indie World reports.
Yeah, when it got its
And
Switch port release
when it got
date.
a Switch port, yeah. And in full disclosure, I reviewed the game, so I did get a review code.
Yeah.
Um, and uh, and so what first drew me to it was like I do like twin stick shooters, and
Hmm.
this is what this game is. I did not realize that it would be an adventure type game, and I just fell in love with it, like right away. This is such an amazing game. The music is fantastic. The world's fantastic.
Hmm.
When you said, "Does anybody want to talk about this game?" I'm like, "Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I love this game."
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
um, but I went in. It was funny because if I may here, like one of the things we talked about with the Plucky Squire, the last episode I was on,
Yeah.
is that I went into that game with really high
Hmm.
expectations, and maybe that's why I wasn't like poo poo on the game, but I wasn't as excited because my expectations were really high, and I
Hmm.
think there's performance issues that I experienced because I played on the Switch as well, but it had some performance issues. Here, I didn't go in with any expectations,
Hmm.
and I was really happy I did because I think it just blew me away, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's funny you say that, like having no expectations, because I've just been hearing about this for the last couple years since it came out in 2024. Some people jumped on it
mm,
really early, and they were like just breathless praise about it. Like, it's so much fun. It's kind of a perfect little game. And then throughout 2025, more and more people, like, slowly, one more person, then one more person, then one more person, and I've just heard nothing but the best things about it. It's got a very, very high rating on Steam. It is a beloved little game. Like, I remember the Kane and Rince podcast had an episode in 2025 where they were just talking about how fun it was, and it's like, for anyone who knows how they pick games on Kane and Rince, if there is a game that someone likes so much that they're going to put it up on that podcast, because they have a system, they have a bunch of people selecting games to go up on the show. If something makes it to that lineup, and it's a fairly new small indie game, someone really loves that game. So
mm.
that was another thing that made me be like, holy shit! All right, Mini Shoot Adventures. So I had very high expectations for Mini Shoot Adventures. I really like. I didn't know much about it except twin stick shooter. I'd heard the Zelda comparisons before. Like you said, I like twin stick shooters. The difference maybe between me and you, I don't know, maybe I'm assuming, but I'm really bad at most twin stick shooters. It's one of the hardest genres of video game for me. And
Yeah.
so this is a genre where, like, I want to like them so much and they're so hard. And I just like, not even talking about like the vertical scrolling or the side scrolling old school shooters, like those are just, I really want to like them, they're too hard. But like stuff like Enter the Gungeon and
Mm,
to a little bit lesser extent The Binding of Isaac, like games like that, I like those games. Especially Enter the Gungeon's way too hard for me, can't do it.
yeah.
So we'll get into it later, but one of the cool things about Mini Shoot Adventures is it's not that hard. It's like a very, very manageable difficulty level, and it has difficulty selections too. So
Yeah.
I don't know, like when you say you like twin stick shooters, what kind of stuff what kind of stuff are you talking about?
Well, I mean, I'm not good at them,
Well,
I
that's
will
fair.
say. But I do like Enter the Gungeon. I enjoy playing that game.
Hmm.
I like a lot of arcade twin stick shooters, and that's usually where I tend to go towards my twin stick shooters. There's this game called like I think it's called. I'm gonna mess up the name, but it's like called Saturn X, I think it's called, or something like that.
Okay.
Where it's an arcade style game, and it's twin stick shooter. You got Robotron, which is a twin stick shooter
Mm.
type game as well. And I really enjoy playing the arcade style twin stick shooters.
Oh yeah.
And when I saw this, I was like, oh, I was thinking this is probably an arcade twin stick shooter with really cool graphics.
Hmm.
I'm gonna like lean into this, and it just became it was something so different, but it still has a lot of elements that I enjoy about a twin stick shooter. I don't know why I like bullet hells because I'm not good at them, but I enjoy challenging myself and trying to dodge
Hmm.
the bullets, right? And this game offers that for sure.
Yeah, it does. You made me remember one twin stick shooter that I really love is Geometry Wars. I played a lot of
Oh
that back
yeah.
in college, and there's a game that came out in 2025 called Sectori that's like a new someone made a new Geometry Wars like type of
Oh
game. I
cool.
really really love that game. It's really hard. I've never even come close to finishing a run of Sectori, but I really really like them. So we have that. We have like this genre that both of us like. It's a fun genre of video game. And then Minishoot Adventures brings down the difficulty and ramps up the adventure because it's
Yeah.
a Zelda style like structured game with dungeons and upgrades that allow you to explore more parts of the map and like tons of little collectibles and upgrades to find when you explore around. And it's just like I started this game up within like 10 minutes. I was like, oh, this is super fun. And then it just got more and more fun when I played. This is one of those games that like I come on the show a lot of times. I talk about how games don't have to be fun. I often like really kind of like it when a game is deliberately not fun and it's kind of looking me in the eye and being like, hey man, this sucks, doesn't it? A little bit. I'm like, yeah, it does. I see what you're doing here. I kind of like that sometimes. Last
Mhm.
month on the podcast had an episode about Drakengard. Extremely not fun game a lot of the time. Uh, and I get enjoyment out of games and things that are not fun sometimes. But then you play a game like Minishoot Adventures that is just a fucking blast from start to finish.
Mhm.
No fat on the game, just pure joy playing the video game, exploring, doing the bullet hell, fighting the bosses, all that stuff. That's why I got 100% because I didn't want to stop playing. I wanted to play all of the game. And it doesn't happen all
Yeah.
that often, but when it does, it's a real treat. And that's what Mini Shoot Adventures is. It's just an absolute treat.
Yeah, I agree. I think the other thing that I really like about Mini Shoot Adventures is it really allows you to play the game the way you want to play it, right?
Hmm.
So outside of the difficulty settings, there is also some accessibility.
Yep.
Can I talk about that right now,
Yeah, of
or no?
course.
Can
Yeah.
I? So you can turn on like auto shoot and auto and I think there's something with the aim as well.
Yeah, there's an aim
So you
assist toggle
aim
you can turn
assist.
on.
So you can turn those things on, which I really liked. But the other thing that I really like about this game is that there are different ships that you collect, and they give you power ups
Hmm.
back at your home base. And one of them is you can spend so many coins. I think it's this one. You spend so many coins on it, and you can get a map, and it shows you all the dungeons and what's still in all the dungeons.
Hmm.
I didn't have to get that, but I wanted to spend the money to see like, oh, like let me see what I'm still missing. And then I realized, oh, I have a lot I need to get. But the game didn't force me to go do that. It wasn't like you
Hmm.
have to do every 100%. Now, we'll talk
Yeah.
about that in a little bit, but that's what I really liked about the game. And there was a moment where I remember I was entering the forest area and I was just getting mauled by these bush robot type
Uh-huh.
creatures.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. Yeah.
And 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 it was like this. A lot of it's like an arena kind of battle. They lock you in an arena, and you have to beat the enemies first
Mhm.
before the arena unlocks. And I was getting really frustrated because I made it to like the third round. Like there's 3 rounds of these things, and I made it to the third round, and I would just die, and I would die, and I was like, all right, the game is telling me now that I need to have a different approach, right?
Yep.
So I went and grinded a little bit and got different upgrades and went back, and I was like, okay, that worked.
Mm.
And that's what I really love about the game is like it allows you to try different things.
Yeah.
But it doesn't like hit you over the head of like, hey, you idiot, why aren't you doing it this way? Like there's probably all different ways I could have handled that, but I just powered up my distance attack and my the damage I do with the crystals. So
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. There are several ways that the game kind of trusts you to figure stuff like that out. There's a lot of ways that the game like really elegantly shows you information in a way that doesn't like smack you and be like, hey, here's your stamina bar, stuff like that. But there's also ways that, like you're saying, like if you're coming up against something that's really hard, you have a lot of options. One of those options could be just go somewhere else, come back later. But
Yes.
the other options would be like try a different approach. Go you can like respec for free anytime. So like try put some skill points
Yeah.
in other stuff. Um, but it's never going to be like, it's never going to give you a pop-up message that says, or like a gate that says like, you have to be level 5 to get through here. Like nothing like that. It's all elegantly
Yes.
done, letting you through.
Yeah.
One quick story before we take our music break, before we do like the story setup and stuff. Just to showcase for people how much of a joy I think Minishoot Adventures is. A couple days ago, I recorded my gameplay footage for the first couple hours when I played for the YouTube video and stuff like that. And a couple days ago, I like hit play on that footage and watched the beginning of the game just to kind of refresh, make my outline and stuff like that. And then like 30 minutes later, I'm just sitting at my computer. I'm like, I'm just watching it. I'm just watching my gameplay footage because it's fun. It's fun to watch
Mhm.
it. I'm watching myself fight the boss of the first dungeon because it's fun. It is a joy to
Yeah.
just be and connected with this game, playing it, watching it. This game is just a pleasure to experience. So that is just something where I caught myself and I was like, man, this game is just really fucking good. If I'm just sitting at my computer watching my own recorded footage, like I'm not playing great or anything like that. It's just like I just think this game is very pleasant. So crazy, and that just shows how good this game is.
Yeah. Agreed.
So let's take our first music break. We'll come back. We'll set up the story and we'll quickly get into that gameplay side of Minishoot Adventures. Minishoot Adventures begins with a cutscene showing the world being taken over by this dark, corrupting force. The world is being covered by these kind of dark, sickly purple crystals and stuff like that. And you play as a little spaceship who is woken up by a voice. The voice says, and I quote, "The corruption has emerged. The unchosen is back. Search for your shipling friends. Retrieve my primordial powers, and restore
Mm.
balance to the great crystal." And it's like, okay, so we have a video game ass like setup for a video game. And so your little spaceship busts out of the crystals that were encasing it, and the adventure is on. You travel through the world, you go through the temples, you defeat these big boss monsters, and eventually you're going to seek out the source of that corruption. The story in Minishoot Adventures is pretty lightly told, I would say. It does have some kind of interesting ideas as it relates to, like, you have this very classic hero's journey video game. Like we said, this is very Legend of Zelda inspired in a lot of different ways. the story has a little bit of interesting kind of ideas about heroes in stories like this. We'll talk about that later, I think. And then there's a huge swing that this game takes at the end, the true end, which again, we'll talk about in spoilers.
Mhm.
But this does seem like a game, if you just watch a trailer, it would be like, oh, Minishoot Adventures, no story. And it's lightly told, but I wouldn't say that they don't have any interesting story ideas. I think that there are a couple things that are actually pretty neat.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think what I love about it too is that there is a story there, but you don't have to play the game for the story, right? Like you
Yeah.
could just play this game and just enjoy the game for what it offers you.
Hmm.
Um, but I think there was another tie there to like Legend of Zelda where this the Unchosen has awoken, and then you are trapped in this crystal and you get to break out and like you kind of awaken, right?
Hmm.
You awaken. And it felt very much like a Legend of Zelda game where it's like, okay, I'm waking up
Oh
to
yeah.
now waking up to fight something,
Hmm.
right? And it's like there's corruption, there's something happening, but you are a spaceship, and I hope I saw this in your notes, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm sorry if it's okay if I say this
Yeah.
as well, and
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
can jump on this. But that ship has so much character.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
Yep.
so it does little bleeps, it does like little things that like when you jump over things or like barely miss a bullet, it does
Hmm.
like little bleeps, and it didn't take long for me to start just seeing this ship as a entity of its own
Yeah.
and not just a spaceship that's manned by somebody, right? Like
Right.
that's what I love about this game.
Yeah. The little spaceship that you control is not just an anonymous ship. I mean, the game world is like, it's like a world of these ships. Like it seems all the characters are ships, big, small, they're all ships. Are there people in there? I kind of don't think so. It also like doesn't really matter, but the vibe I got was like, okay, yeah, we're playing as a spaceship, sure. Like you play as a spaceship in a lot of video games and they're not characters, they're just like the thing you're controlling. You're playing a spaceship so that you could shoot lasers out of it and blow stuff up. But you're right, like
Yeah.
in Minishoot Adventures, your little spaceship is a cute little guy. And the thing, it emotes and like it like chirps and makes happy sounds when you find another of your spaceship buddies and save them, or like you said, when you go off a ramp, because there's like jumping puzzles and stuff like that, and there's races and stuff in Minishoot. If you go off a ramp at high speeds, he'll do like a little flippy in the air, and it's like, look, he's having fun. Look at him, he's having a good time out there. And so this very unexpectedly, this little spaceship character is like, no, I actually fucking love this little guy. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just very unexpected. And the other characters that you meet are like that too. Like, if
Yeah.
you think about those little ones that you do the races with, like when you lose to them, they express disappointment to you and
Yeah,
stuff like
they
within
do.
their little ship emoting and stuff like that. Um, which is really cool. Like this is one of those things where it's like you're not going to sit and have a long lore dump conversation with any character. There are some lore
Mhm.
dumps, but they're very short. It's not a lore dump. It's
Yeah.
just like here's a couple sentences of lore. And the story that I'm talking about is kind of admirable in the way that they obviously had some interesting ideas for like I said, a story about a hero like this, or maybe past heroes like this. Who's to say? And then just a couple ideas, and they don't blow this up into like, no, we're gonna have the most detailed lore and stuff ever. It's like, no, they had a couple ideas, they explored those ideas, and they didn't blow it too out of proportion. So like the pace of the game stays really uh what's the word, like svelte. It's
Mhm.
snappy, you're always moving, you're never bogged down by anything in this game. And that's all I really have to say about story for now, but it is admirable, I think, for someone to do like just enough to give you something interesting to chew on and no more than that.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I love about the story too is that it allows you as the player to question what's happening in the world.
Mhm.
Like, so there'll be areas where you might go into a desert world and you find like these shells of like ships. And you're
Mhm.
like, what happened here? Like, what is this? And there's nothing in the lore that tells you that. But as a player, you get the sense that there's something here and there's a bigger story than me. And it allows me to live vicariously through the ship and then also experience all that as well for the first time, because it's almost like the ship does experience a lot of this for the first time themselves.
Mhm.
And but it's not hitting over your head with like, yep, these are down ships, these used to be here, blah blah blah, they're corrupted, whatever the case is. No, it allows me to figure out what is happening here and create
Yeah.
my own narrative, if you will, right?
Yeah. The same type of deal in that like water area where you have all these like sunken buildings and stuff like that. It's,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I if there's lore in the game that explains what happened over there, I never found it. I kind of don't think there is.
Me
I think it's just
Yeah.
evocative, and evocative is
Mhm.
fine. Let because as you're going through and exploring, you do have a little bit of downtime to be like, huh, look at all those sunken buildings down there. And then you'll
Yeah.
get into
Yeah.
combat and stuff. That's most of what you're doing in the game is either like purposely exploring or fighting. Um, but you do have those little downtimes to just be like, this is kind of neat. And the game looks really beautiful. Like the graphical style is it's not hyper detailed, but there's enough detail there to give you those evocative get your imagination going, kind of like you said, right? Um,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of really great like visual design stuff they do that like ties in with combat and stuff. But strictly talking about the world, it's a really beautiful game. You do have some different looking biomes and stuff like that. All the dungeons are, you know, they have their own look to them and stuff. And it's just enough, like you said, to kind of pique your curiosity.
Yeah. I love it.
Let's talk about that gameplay. Let's talk about what you're doing. So we've mentioned before it is a twin stick shooter. It's a top down perspective, and it is bullet hell style. So bullet hell being like enemies will spray out big energy balls and stuff like that, and all kinds of patterns. And the trick to bullet hell is always don't panic. Don't try to dodge around through everything. Oftentimes, the best thing to do is move slightly to the left. That's where your safe space is. You do have like a so you have your shooting, of course. You also have a dodge roll in this game that can
Mhm.
kind of like I think maybe with an upgrade you can like dodge through bullets.
Yes. Yes. But that upgrade doesn't happen until much later in the
Yeah.
game,
So
right?
they
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
teach you like the principles of bullet hell. Like I said, don't freak out. A lot of times you don't have to move a whole lot to avoid what the enemy's doing. Um, and then, you know, sometimes get all the way on the other side of the screen if a big thing's coming. And then later on, when things get more complicated, they start to give you more like get out of jail free cards, like that dodge roll. You'll get like a thing that kind of clears all the bullets that are around you. You'll get a thing that freezes time. Like
Mhm.
they start to I don't know. They teach you the fundamentals first, and then they're like, all right, here's some extra things to mitigate the challenge that keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I love that, and I think as you go through the game, uh, you will need to have some like, for sure at the end, the last power up that you get, that flipping one, is certainly
Hmm.
one that you do need. And I have used the one where it clears out the bullets quite often, but I didn't actually use the time freeze one as much as I
Mm.
thought I would. Um, Mainly because I just forget it's there.
Yeah.
But also I relied on the, just clear out the bullets. I felt that was like a much more useful one for me, during my play, so
Hmm. Yeah. I think that as the challenge ramps up, and like, I would say I probably died in the regular before I did like the true final boss stuff like that. I probably died like 5 or fewer times in the game. And
Oh,
then
good
the
for
true,
you.
yeah,
I
it's
did
like,
not.
okay, well, fair enough. It didn't say it to brag or something like that. But the the true final boss is really hard because
Mhm.
they put some extra conditions on you to make the challenge a little bit higher. But it's also harder than the final boss of the game was. Um, So before that point, I didn't have much of a use for the freeze time thing either. It's just like nice in a pinch. But I would say of like the temple bosses, like maybe one of them got me once when I was still learning. Like it
Mm,
has some crazy thing that it throws out in one of their many phases. But um, that's one of the things that I kind of liked about this game, though, is like it gave me the good feelings playing a bullet hell twin stick shooter, or even like I said, like a vertical scrolling or side scrolling shooter, where like in those games the important thing too is like finding that safe space on the screen. Like one of the things I run into in those games, it's like a side scroller, I want to hang out at the back all the time because
yeah.
then I'm further away from everything. But like the back's not always the safest place to be. And then I find myself in a bad spot. And in this game, like I think it gives you those feelings of like mastering those, finding the safe places, finding your opportunities to attack without just kicking your ass over and over and over again the way those games do. And like those games, they're good for what they're doing. Like I know there's a lot of people who really, really love like memorizing those levels in those old games and stuff. But Minishoot Adventures it will let you just react to what's going on. You don't have to memorize, with very few exceptions. You don't have to
Yeah.
memorize what maybe the boss fights. You have to learn their patterns and stuff because they're longer and stuff. But most regular enemies, you don't have to like be like, okay, in this combat arena, we have 4 of these little guys and then 2 of the big guys. And then when you take out these ones, here's what the second wave has. I know exactly you don't have to memorize things to that degree. You can just react and be like, okay, these things, I know what they do. They have this attack. These things, they have this attack. And now I need to figure out where's my safe place. And then you're always shooting and stuff like that too. And I think that maybe that's what it is about mini shoot that makes it less of a like just a really punishing challenge and more of just like a kind of joyous video game experience is I can just react. And in those other shooters or even in like Enter the Gungeon, for example, I don't feel like I can just react. If I'm reacting, I'm getting myself in trouble in those games. And in mini shoot, it's just like, nah, it stops just short of being like that super challenge, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the second boss, for whatever reason, gave me the most challenge before the final boss. But like
Hmm.
the for whatever reason, I think the first boss was pretty easy, and I think they do that on purpose. Like that first boss was pretty easy. The second boss though gave me some challenge, and it took me a little bit for me to figure out, okay, this is like here's how I'm gonna approach it. But it is more reaction. I think when I found myself reacting rather than trying to strategize, I found that I was better at the game, right? And
Mm.
but you're right. Like I think the only other time is, and this is where the platformer elements come in, is there are times where you'll have to watch a pattern, and you have to find the right spot to kind of like dodge and get into a
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
nook. Um, and some of those bullets were one shot kills. Like, so you do have
Yes.
hearts. Like, we should say that you have hearts and you have heart containers, and you can collect more
Mhm.
hearts and get more hearts, like Zelda,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Um, and but some of those bullets, as when you get farther in the game, and the enemies too, they shoot bullets that will either wipe you out or take out a good portion of your hearts,
Mhm.
which becomes more difficult, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think that one of the things it helps with like those like mini platforming challenges or like kind of timing challenges like move from safe place to safe place, but you're not in combat. It's just environmental hazards. I don't love the idea of a thing that kills me in one hit and resets me back to several rooms prior. Because all the dungeons, they have one checkpoint in the first room of the dungeon. That's all you get. And I don't love the idea of being set back by that. But the game controls so well that there's really not much of a barrier between like what my brain is saying I should do and what the character is doing. The controls are perfect. It's
Oh
snappy
my
as
gosh.
hell. Like
Yeah.
hitboxes feel perfect. Like there's really no funny business happening anywhere when that's concerned. And that's why like those things that you were talking about with those environmental hazards, or like you said earlier, one of the primary like ways that they set up combat for you is like these wave based things where you'll go in a room, the doors will lock behind you, and enemies will start spawning in, and you have to fight 3, 4, 5 waves of enemies. And like, there's a bunch of games where I really don't like that as
Yeah.
a way to set up a challenge. I remember playing Blasphemous 2 and really not liking the addition of that into
Mhm.
Blasphemous. Silk Song's another one, a bunch of those, and they ended up being some of the hardest and most frustrating fights in that game. In Minishoot, it's just like this shit controls so perfectly.
Yeah.
The difficulty feels like it's just always right on the line where it should be, coupled with like where you are in the game and your own progression. Like you said, like there's some points you can get into places where you're maybe not supposed to be there yet, and the game will show you by hitting you really hard. And so
Mhm.
you're like, all right, I'll come back later or adjust my strategy or something. But if you're in a place that's like appropriate for you to be, the difficulty always feels right on that line of like, this is the right difficulty curve, the right place on the curve, but maybe just like a little bit on the friendly side of that. Like it's approaching the line, but it's still kind of on your side, which I appreciate because bullet hell is, it can get a little overwhelming. It can be really busy on the screen. There's a lot of these arenas late in the game where there's so much happening. And I'm like, man, I hope these things move to the side of me because I don't have anywhere to go right now.
Yes.
Um, but I do think that they stay on that difficulty curve, or like I said, just like a little bit on the friendly side of that often enough, or most of the time, where like I always feel like this is just the right challenge. It's always in the Goldilocks zone, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. No, and the other thing that I love about this game too is, yes, in the dungeons there is one save point and you go back there, but if you've completed things up to that point before you died, you don't have to do all that over
Oh,
again.
yeah, right. Yeah.
I loved that about the game because I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're going to have to go through all that again." Nope. Like, you beat that part,
No,
you don't have to do that again. And
you just respawn back there.
you just respond, right? And I think to me that's like, okay, you respect my time as a player as well, right? Because you're not going to make me do that again. You completed it. I'm not going to make you do that again. You figured it out. I think the only time that it does happen is if you are those platform pieces where like the bullets are shooting across and you have to like kind of dodge your way through those. I think those you do have to uh maneuver through those again. But
Yeah.
when it comes to rooms where they lock behind you and you beat the enemies in the room, you don't have to do those all over again.
Right. Yep. Kind of like hey, I proved to you that I can do this. You don't have to make me do it again because I'll just do it again.
Yeah.
There's this. I do think I think that gamers sometimes go a little bit too far with the idea of like games need to respect my time. Games need to cater to me at every step of the way. But I do agree that in this case, it's like I've already done that challenge. It's
Yeah.
not part of a greater challenge. This is just a challenge room. I did it. So again, what is the use of making me do it again so that I
Yeah.
can prove to you that I can do it again a second time? I'll probably be better at it a second time. Like, so they're
Yeah.
just like, nope, on you go. You don't have to unlock the doors that you unlocked and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's the other thing too, right? You unlock the door because a lot of these dungeons will have multiple paths to it, right? Like, okay, you have to do so many things on the left-hand side, get a
mhm,
key, or later on light torches, and then you have to do the same kind of thing on the right-hand side before you can go up the middle and take on the boss.
yeah,
Yeah, as long as you completed them, they're not going to make you do it all over again. And I thought
right.
that was great. So,
Yep. And even if you do have to go through those, like a platformy, dodgy type, challenge, you've done it before. You can handle it again. It's
yeah.
really nothing is really that tough as far as that stuff is concerned. Can I tell you one thing that I think is like the secret sauce to the combat in this game being as fun as it is?
Yeah.
Uh, I think that this game has some of the best sound effects in any
Mm.
game I've played in a very long time.
Yeah. Now that you say that, it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, the sound design is incredible in this game. They just have a bunch of sounds that are they feel like they were engineered to tickle my brain in this very satisfying way. So, a couple examples. Maybe this will like bring to mind if someone hasn't played in a while. As you're shooting a ship, like it takes many shots to take down even the most basic ship. Um, the sound effect that plays when your lasers hit the opponent ship is just this really pleasing little like pitter patter
Yes.
sound effect.
Yes,
When you're
yes.
fighting bosses, you'll shoot them 500 times in the boss fight, and it's just this like it's just very not too loud, just very satisfying. I can't do the actual sound effect. The way that like when you defeat an enemy, they explode with this really nice like not ear splitting, but this really pleasant shattering, like glass shattering sound effect.
Yeah.
And then you get your little experience crystals from the enemies
Mm.
that you take down. And they don't have a level up bar. They have an empty crystal in the top corner that fills with your little bits that you collect, and they fall from the top and they collect down in there, and you can hear them like clink together as they fill up. It's oh my god, it's so good. The sound design, they're just like anytime they're like, we need a sound effect. Whoever did the sound design, well, it's one of two people that did the sound design. Severin LaRose has the sound credit. They were just like, I fucking got it. I got all the sound effects here.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I love the sounds that when you're hitting against ships, and even when you're shooting against pieces that like rock that crumble, you hear that
Hmm.
crumbling noise to it, right? It's not the same noise as the tick, 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 like when you're hitting like a spaceship.
Hmm.
So cool. It's so well done, and it's so well done that until you mentioned it now, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that was really cool." Like, it just because it just feels right. It just
Hmm.
feels right.
It's really nice. Another just honorable mention sound effect is the one. Sometimes you'll have these little like rock pads that you travel over, and it's like a sequence of little rocks that form a path. And there's a sound effect as you kind of slide your way across them. That's just it's just really pleasing. Like
Mhm.
I don't. I don't often make a list of my favorite sound effects in a video game outline for the show, but here we are with Minishoot Adventures.
Mhm.
Couple other things I just want to mention. I had a part in my outline doc of like little touches that take the game up a notch, and like sound effects were one of them. We mentioned visual design. There's a bunch of diegetic visual stuff that this game does in combat or in gameplay. Like you don't have you have a stamina system, but you don't have a bar. You'd have these two things on the ship's wings that fill up like a Dead Space UI type of situation.
Yeah.
And so there's also a sound effect associated, so you can get the information in multiple ways. And then the the way that the enemies change from their standard color to a darker red. If it's a white ship, they turn redder and redder and redder as their
Yeah.
HP gets lower. So
Yeah.
you don't have health bars filling up the screen, and you don't have damage numbers popping up. I love seeing damage numbers pop up. It's a lizard brain thing. But in this game, it's like I wonder how much health this enemy has. How many more shots is it going to take? And it's like, well, it's a white ship enemy and it's not really that red, so you got a long ways to go. Or it's like this thing is dark red. Couple more shots will take it down. Um, and I don't know about you. I always felt like it was enough information to intuit. Like even in boss fights that take a long time, I always knew I was close when I was close, and that you're getting close, and you're like, all right, maybe I can get a little bit more aggressive. Or it's like, no, don't get aggressive. Chill, just do it for 10 more seconds. You'll be fine. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing too is that they'll have ships later on that are this dark purple, which
Yes.
are more difficult than the other ships, right?
Hmm.
And it didn't have to tell me that. I just intuitively knew, like, oh, these guys mean business, because
Yep.
they're a different color. They're a corrupted color, right? They're that corrupted color.
Yep.
So cool. Such a cool uh the visuals, and when you're saying about the boss fights, like some of the bosses have weak spots and you couldn't hit them anywhere else, but I mean you could try, they wouldn't do any
Hmm.
damage. But you knew from the visual cues, because they would do the flashing and then they would get more red from being
Hmm.
attacked. And I think that even the sound, there was a different in sound, and if you hit their like shield,
Yeah,
it
there
had like a
is. Yeah.
higher tink, right? And then you hit them from behind and it was like the satisfying, yep, that hit, that did some
Hmm.
damage.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one of those ways that I was saying, like, the game kind of trusts you to take in this a little bit more subtle information. It's still very clear information, but it's not like like the UI in this game is not super busy with, because it could be a game that has a ton of information on the screen with just literal bars and numbers all the time. And it's not. A lot of it's taken care of through those little things. And then you have your hearts up in the corner, and you have a, I think you have a map you can open and stuff. Like, I don't remember if you have like an actual mini map in this game. I
I don't
don't
think
think
so.
that you do. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So like the screen as you're playing is really not very cluttered, even though there's a lot of information being given to you all the time. And they do a lot of those other things in really smart ways.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that open-ended like exploration, that Zelda structure of the game. Um, you had mentioned a little bit earlier that there was a point where you felt a little bit lost, and
Mhm.
that happened to me a little bit too, because this game, kind of in that way we're just talking about, where the game kind of trusts you to, figure some stuff out. The game opens up, your ship comes out of the little tutorial cave, and then they're like, "Here's the world." Bunch of different directions you could possibly go in. Like, a couple
Yeah,
of them are closed off, but there are several paths that you could take right away. And they're not going to be they do highlight on your map where the dungeons are, so you have like an
yeah,
idea of, I got to get up there eventually. But beyond that, they don't really say like, your first task will be to go to the east and find this, they don't,
yeah,
nobody
yeah,
tells you that. They're just like, here's the world, get out there, start exploring. And it's just, number one, it's so fun to explore. And number two, the guiding hand is there, but it's very like, it's not super visible, we'll say. It's not literally pushing you. It's like the way they've designed the world and the way they've designed obstacles and stuff always gives you the information you need about where you can and can't go, without there being like a gate that you find a key for.
yeah, yeah. I think a good example of that is I just went exploring and I was like, okay, I can't get across this area. There's land over there, but I can't get over there because there's
Mhm.
water in between. I must have to find something that allows me to fly over water, right? And I
Mhm.
just knew that that had to be something that I will have to get at some point, but I knew I'm not supposed to be here at this point.
Mhm.
But the game didn't stop me from exploring that area. In fact, so the idea is that there are map pieces throughout the world that you can find, and then it fills in the
Mhm.
map for you. But there's a lot of times where I was just flying around and I didn't have a map, and it was just my spaceship in this empty space, and they're like, I don't know where you are, but you are here somewhere. And I just kept exploring because I'm like, well, if you're gonna let me explore, I'm going to continue to go here as far as I can until
Mhm.
something happens. Either I need an item to get through here, or yeah, I probably am underpowered to be at this point, right? So,
Yep. They always give you like many possible places that you could be like at any given time, and then hey, say you found that thing that lets you fly over the water, you're going to remember that spot and probably a couple other spots where you could use that now. In
yeah,
addition to the new like critical path area that's now available to you. Um and so I just always felt like, if I want to, I could take the next 45 minutes and just explore and look for collectibles, look for pieces of heart. There's like golden scarabs that you can trade in for
yeah,
items. There's a currency that you can find of like these more involved gems, I guess, that you can find that you can trade for gun upgrades and items from merchants. And basically, without fail, anything that would be in a cave I discover, or like a weird hidden, there's like hidden walls and stuff. And like,
Yeah.
so if I'm observant and I'm like, hey, that wall looks like it's not a real wall, and I go over and it's not a real wall, not only am I happy that I figured that out, but on the other side of that, there is a good thing that rewards me for that. And it's always rewarding to get a piece of heart or some of those currencies. Or just sometimes they'll just be like, here's a big fat red crystal for experience. And I'm like,
Yep.
yes, that's like a
Yep.
whole level's worth of experience right there.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yep. Yep.
It's always rewarding.
Yeah. And I do think too that when you uncover secrets, doesn't it have like when you click something or click a button, you see a little cutscene and something opens up. Isn't there like a little like song that plays along with that? Like
Oh, there's a little jingle. Yeah. Like a
yeah.
do, 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 like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, it was like there's another example of Zelda, right? But there's so
Yeah.
many areas that are secret. You're like, "Oh, I didn't see that before. I didn't realize I could go there."
Hmm.
And then you find this cave that you didn't know was there. Um but, later on, there is and I mentioned this earlier, but there is a vendor in your town that does sell, the ability to see, like shows you, like, all the dungeons and all the, like, worlds that you there's
Hmm.
main dungeons and there's, like, mini dungeons and there's, like, little caves and stuff like that, and
Yep.
it doesn't tell you what's in there, but it tells you there's something here because it's, like, glows with, like, a little, uh, blue crystal of some sort,
Yep.
and then when it's completed, uh, I forget, does it
It
just
puts a little check mark.
check mark, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, super helpful when I'm at that point where I'm like, I could go do the final dungeon and beat the game, or this game is so much fun, I want to clear the map and go see everything. And uh there's a boss fight in every region that's like above ground that
Mhm.
maybe you didn't find that. There's a bunch of caves. This is one of the things that like really stands out as like a old school, like a Link to the Past, Link's Awakening style Zelda world design thing, where there's like, you'll find a cave, you'll go down inside, you'll do some stuff in the cave, you'll find some treasure, but you'll also find like an area of that cave that you can't get to from down
Yeah.
there. And you have to find a
Yeah.
different entrance on the overworld to get down in there. And then like 4 hours later, I'll come across that entrance and fall down and be like, that's how you get down there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah. Are you a fan of those old Zelda games?
Yes, I am. Yeah. I
Yeah.
and that reminded me very much of that, right? Like a lot of times it would be things like there's a heart container over there. How do I get to that heart
Mhm.
container? And then I would
Yeah.
find myself flying around like mentally thinking, okay, I'm here on the map. Oh, because when you're underground, your ship is not you pull up your map and it's like your ship can't be found, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, okay, now I want to get out of ground. So I knew I traveled this far and I saw that heart container over here. So I must travel over here. And then you're like, oh, there's a little entrance to a cave. I wonder if it's over there.
Mhm.
No, no, that actually took me a different route. But I needed to go here because there's some other cool stuff,
Mhm.
right? Like I loved that because it's so like the map is so well done that I didn't need to draw this out, but mentally I could figure it out, like where I needed to go to find that element or that item that I was looking for, or
Yeah.
whatever it was I was looking for. I'm like, oh, this mainly it was heart containers. I was on the search for heart container. How do I
Yeah,
get
for
that?
sure.
You
Yeah.
know?
And that is a classic, like I said, like right out of A Link to the Past, where like
Yeah,
sometimes in those games you'll enter a cave and it's like, I can't do anything, but I see across this pit there's a heart container. So I gotta
yeah.
find a different way to get in here. And there's a like one of the dungeons in Minishoot Adventures is like a straight up Link to the Past callback, where it's not like one big dungeon, it's like a bunch of small things that connect underground and stuff like that. Um, and that's one of my one of my games I was quite harsh on in my Tales from the Backlog is A Link to the Past. But that structure of game, that exploration based overworld, bunch of dungeons, interconnectedness, um, get a new item and remember, like, oh, I got the hook shot now. Here's all these places I could have used a hook shot before. I'm going to go check them out.
Yeah.
And Minishoot Adventures really feels like they understand how to build a world like that. Or, the Minishoot Adventures team, they know what makes exploration tick in those old games. And the dungeons in Minishoot are like, they're simpler than Zelda dungeons, but they still understand like the basics of like that. I get this to unlock this door that allows me to get this. And then, that's the item for this dungeon. Now the rest of the dungeon is open to me. And um, I think they're a little bit shorter than Zelda dungeons tend to be too. But
Yeah.
the formula is still there and the formula works. Like the structure of them works just fine.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I appreciated about Minishoot is I never felt frustrated about trying to find something. And it was never of like, except for the one time I was lost. But that's on me because I realized after I was like, oh, I could just jumped over this little area here. That's how I get over here.
Uh-huh.
But for the most part, there was never a moment that I was like, I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do here. I don't know what to do next.
Hmm.
Because you just explore and then you find something. And I think that's part of it too, is like I didn't 100% it, but I spent a lot of times just kind of going around and like, where's this over here? What is this happening over here? And probably the first good the half of the game, I was just exploring, and after a while, I realized I need to finish my review. I need to I need to
Mm.
get this game done, right? So, but it rewards you for, like you were saying, it rewards you for exploring and trying new things.
Yeah, 100%. Always felt good about it. I always felt like I had like a hunch, like there's got to be something around here. And then a lot of times I was rewarded for poking in corners or like, I wonder if I can blow up that wall. It looks a little suspicious. And then like you can blow it up.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can and stuff like that. One of the other things that like kind of makes it fun to just explore around is the music in this game is just
Mm,
it's just great. It's a
so
really great
good.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
Um, as I was thinking about this, I have a hard time describing why some of the music is pleasing. Like the boss music sticks out because it's like it's upbeat. Some of it sounds kind of like psychedelic, like you have these like things like phasing in and out and stuff in these boss or maybe in the arena tracks. But one of the things that I honed in on when I was listening to the soundtrack today is the songs are not very long. And
Mm,
you may be exploring for quite a long time and just hearing them loop and loop and loop and loop. And this is a thing that in like some NES games where like the loops are really short, it can start to get really annoying to hear that loop over and over and over again. In Mini Shoot Adventures, they're very loopable songs. And so the effect for me is not like fuck this loop is so short, I'm hearing it for the 600th time. The effect is like it's kind of like a trance. Like
mm.
I'm just like vibing. I'm thinking of that one song when you're exploring, or maybe it's like in a dungeon where it's like it's just a dun dun da da dun dun da 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 da
Yes.
dun dun da da da, and
Yes.
it goes through like these different parts of that song and then returns to that like that main thing. And I'm just kind of like nodding my head along to it as I go through the dungeon. Um, and I don't know, like I think that that's maybe a hard thing to pull off. It's something worth like complimenting them for is like they're fairly short songs. You don't know how long you're going to be out exploring. You might hear that loop 200 times in a row, but it just turns into a vibe rather than something you actually notice in a bad way, I think.
Yeah. I think the first time that I mean, the music was always really good, but when I entered the forest area and it has
Mm.
like this dreamy kind of music sound to it, that was the moment that I was like, this is really cool. Like this
Mhm.
music is so good. The overworld, the rest of it was good too, but it was that moment that I crossed over into the forest that I was just like, wow. Each biome has its own music and it sounds
Mhm.
phenomenal. And the great thing is this to me, I think this is the hard part, is when you go from one biome to the next, it just kind of blends really well together.
Mhm.
I don't know how they do that. That's crazy, right? Because they
Yeah.
don't know, like, I'm going out of one and into another, like, and I could just go back and forth and like it, you
Yeah.
know, but it sounds so good. And I wonder if they take elements from one zone and kind of play with them in another zone. So it kind of has this like
Mm.
palette of music that kind of goes through. I don't know. I'd have to listen to it again, but
I
I
I do th I do think there is like a consistency through the whole soundtrack where like,
mm,
everything does fit together in a sort of way. Um, where if you are transitioning a bunch between different places, it's not like you have like this hammering rock song that suddenly cuts out and you're in this cave that really just kind of has like a little bass line, and that's about all that's happening in that song. There's like, I think maybe there's just like a consistency in the way that the songs are built, in the kind of like the sound that they're playing with, that because there's definitely, even in songs of different styles, there are similar sounds, like
yeah.
instruments, digital instruments being used to give you that. And then like when combat kicks up, they push the BPM up, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you get some really cool songs out of that. The final boss tracks are like these remixed classical songs, like just kind of in
Yeah.
the mini shoot sound font, I guess, as they would call it. Um,
Yeah.
and I looked them up earlier today. I was listening to like the original versions, or not the original versions. They're old compositions before recordings probably existed, but um, they're pretty cool to take this like classical guitar piece and turn it into this kind of electronic sounding Mini Shoot Adventures boss song. And one of those things, like when it kicks on, you're like, oh, this is a classical song. This is like, we're ramping up the tempo, and in classical music, this is how we're telling you that this is a big deal right now, like that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The music is just one of my favorite parts of this game. There's so much to this game that is so good, and it just all works so well together. Again, I don't know how I'd never heard of this game before I saw
Yeah.
it on the Indie World Report or Indie Direct or whatever it was. It's such a phenomenal game. It is. I think I put this in my review because our friend Mike Tondro said this. Like, it is the
Yeah.
most what underrated game, or most under talked about game, or something like that, like he said. I'm sorry, Mike, I butchered the quote, but I have it in the quote in my review, and it is true because like this game is such. How did I never hear of this game? I don't understand. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things that makes me, I mean, I'm very confident that there are 2,000 other games that are as good as Mini Shoot Adventures, and we just don't hear about them because there's so many games, and like discoverability is one of the biggest issues facing a small indie game. And I'm not sure how Mini Shoot Adventures broke through to the level that they did, but they did. And it's one of those games where it's like, if you get your eyes on it and you're like, that looks like it's fun, and then you try it, the game is so well made that basically everyone that I've heard of that, or talked to, that played it turns into what me and you were doing, which is spending an hour just talking about all the ways that this game is so good. I was
Yeah.
going to ask you, like, you know, I don't have any criticisms of Mini Shoot Adventures. Like, I like it. Like, there might be too many races. I don't know. Like that's
Okay, I think that is my criticism. The races are fine. They were not my favorite part.
they're
I did
fine.
not. They're fine. They're
They're
fine.
fine. There might be like three too many of them for like how much fun they actually are. The races are
Yeah.
interesting because like the movement tech is good enough that it can support doing some races, and they throw some curveballs at you in the races, and you can strategize. How do you use your boosts and maintain your stamina and stuff? Like there's there are tactics to it, and you're
Yes.
not just going to win because you're hammering the boost all the time. Like, so
Yeah.
they got ideas. Um, that's me really reaching for a criticism like this. I don't give number scores on the show. Or when I do written reviews, I don't do number scores unless shout out to So Many Games. They ask me to do number scores, but this would be the easiest perfect score I would give because there's really nothing that this game is attempting that they're not knocking out of the ballpark. Like, it's just an absolute joy, start to finish, 9 hours, 100% completion. I got mad during the true final boss because it's hard, and that's what I do when faced with adversity. I get mad, but
Yeah.
um, it's just such an absolute joy to play.
Yeah. We scored it. So we do letter grades, and I
Hmm.
gave it an A,
Yeah.
which is the highest we give. And when a game earns an A or an A minus, like they're part of our Gamerheads select. And so
Hmm.
yeah, this
I
was
like that.
yeah. So such a like again, my criticism was very nitpicky, but just I didn't like the races a lot. But, it was well done. They're well done, and like you said, you can retool all your stuff to make it that you can win those races,
Hmm.
um, which I thought was actually really cool too. Like, one of the things I thought was just so inventive is they don't tell you this is the first time I ran into a race, I was like, "Oh, is it oh, I was supposed to race that guy,"
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize it until, like you said, you get to the end and they're like, "Bloop, bloop," like, "Why did
Yeah.
you lose?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, you want me to race you?"
Yeah.
And it was almost like those are those little spirit characters, and then you collect them, but it was almost like they're looking for a friend to have just a little fun with, right?
Hmm.
And it was cool. It's a cool concept. I again, it was just my least favorite part. Those are the parts that I got the most frustrated because, some of those races are a little hard,
Yeah.
but, like you said, you retool your ship, and then you're like, "Okay, I can beat this guy now," so
Yeah. That is it's us really reaching for something to be like, hey, no game is perfect, da da da, Minishoot Adventures is basically just uh we get to this section in the podcast and I always ask like who would you recommend play Minishoot Adventures, and
Mm,
I'm sitting here at the end like, well, all the people out there who say they want games to be fun and engaging in the hands, this is your game. And then all the people who like are not necessarily always looking for that, but like me, you're like sometimes you just want to play like a video game that's just like really fun, and that's the primary thing. Mini Shoot Adventures is going to give you that. Like, I really struggle to think of anyone who I would be like, well, I don't know if you should play Mini Shoot Adventures. I don't know about you. Because it like with these games, I think the hang up a lot of times would be the difficulty in
yeah,
like a bullet hell, a twin stick shooter, but they have so much that they do with difficulty levels and accessibility that like I really don't know. I don't know who's gonna, this game's not gonna filter anybody out, if you take advantage of those features.
yeah, yeah. No, in fact, my son, who is 11, I thought this was a great game for him to play
Yeah,
because
for sure.
he loves spaceships, right? He loves those types of games, and he never really played a twin stick shooter, so I was like, "This is a great opportunity to learn what twin stick shooters are,"
Hmm.
and introduces him uh, to, a game like Zelda that's not Zelda, so that way, like, he can play games like Link to the Past or other games and be like, "Oh, I get what they're trying to do in those other games," right? I
Yeah.
feel like this is a really good if you've never played an adventure game before, this is a great entry level for that, and then the world opens up to other games like it, right? Like,
Yep.
I think I to me, this is such a great this to me was like, this is my son's Link to the Past for him. Like, this is
Yeah.
like, he's gonna look back and say, "Oh, I really loved that game, and here's, like, the memories I had with it." It's so good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love to hear that. And to I think it's really interesting to think of like playing this and then going back to A Link to the Past or Link's Awakening or any number of those old school Zelda games. And then just the opposite of what you and I did, getting to one of those things in A Link to the Past and be like, this is like that thing in Minishoot Adventures. And that's that's really cool, really fun to think about. Link's a little bit slower than the spaceship in
true.
Minishoot, but
Yeah, Link's
I'm
not doing
sure
races.
right. Well, on horseback maybe in
Well,
some
that's
of those
true.
games.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, Minishoot Adventures, it's good. If you didn't gather that until now. So, um, we are going to do a fairly brief spoiler section. There's just a couple little like topics I want to touch on in the spoiler section. But before we do, we always do a little bit of housekeeping in case people are going to jump out because they don't want to be spoiled. So housekeeping always begins with the guest, and Roger, that's you. So, as I said at the top of the show, you have the Gamerheads podcast. You also have the Gamerheads podcast website, which is more than just a podcast. You do written reviews, like you said, a lot of other stuff on the website. So please tell people about your work and where they can find it.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you. So you can go to our website at gamerheadspodcast.com. We've been doing this for 10 years now. I can't
Mm-hmm.
believe it. That's crazy. But we started out as just podcasting. So there's lots of episodes out there, like lots that you can listen to. I wouldn't go back to some of the early ones, though. They're probably not that good. But we also got into doing reviews, and we do some news items as well.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a YouTube channel as well. So you can check that out. And some members of the crew do a spin-off podcast called Hey Kiddo. So if you're a Warframe fan,
Oh, okay.
it's all they do all the Warframe stuff. They know more about Warframe than I could ever explain to anyone. But it's
Mm-hmm.
a fun podcast, and they do a really good job with it. So there's plenty of content out there for anybody. And then you can follow us on social media too on Blue Sky. So at gamerheadspodcast.com.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll shout out, of course. Check out the written work, check out the reviews and stuff like that. Find some stuff. There's a lot of good stuff for you to find there. I want to especially highlight. I remember when I was getting ready. It was either when I was getting ready to podcast about El Paso Elsewhere, or right
Mm.
after I podcasted about it. I listened to some interviews that you did with Xalavier Nelson Jr. on the podcast that I thought were just really, really good interviews.
Oh, thank
And
you.
Xalavier is a really interesting person, a very interesting perspective and experience. And then you did good interviews that I think people like. They didn't sound like the same interviews I've heard people do. Sometimes people can go on like their media tours and they answer the same questions over and over and over and over again. And that interview didn't really feel like it was like, yeah, here's that question again. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah. That is, if you want to like a specific place, maybe check out the written Minishoot Adventures review that Roger mentioned. But those are really good interviews. Just want to let you know. I thought those were great.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I will say Xalavier is so amazing and so intelligent, and uh like I don't know, I feel like I appreciate the compliment, but really probably his answers and the way he answers things, like he's so good. And like, yeah, so like, thank you, that's a very kind thing, but really it's my guess, that's not me.
That's what I always say too. Hey, I like the episode. Oh, well, direct your praise to Roger over here. So yeah. Well, as always, I'll put links to the podcast and the website. And then again, if you're a Warframe sicko, if you're looking for a Warframe podcast, maybe check out. You said it's called Hey Kiddo.
Hey Kiddo, Whispers from the Void.
Okay.
That has something to do with the lore. I'm sorry, I'm not. I
No,
love
I've
Warframe, but I don't
no
know all
fucking
the lore.
idea. It sounds like, I mean, I did play 90 hours of Warframe back in the day. There's a void, I
Yeah.
get that at least, but so yeah, there we go. Something for the Warframe fans out there to check out too. So links to all of Rogers and other Gamerheads crews work down in the show notes so people can easily find it. And I did most of my plugs at the top of the show. The last one I didn't mention is the Discord server, which is open. It is public. It is free and you can join, and we would love to have you. And I think that we're a fun community. And if you would like to join, there's an invite link in the show notes for Discord. So, with that being said, we're going to take our spoiler break. When we come back, it will be full spoiler time for Minishoot Adventures. All right, before we get to full spoiler time for Minishoot Adventures, I'd like to give a thank you and a shout out to the wonderful patrons who help support the show. Those fine folks are Chris Nelson, Zulgeek, Chris Copleen, Rick Firestone, Nick Vicori, Soccer, Cupcake, Kyle, Christian S., Matt aka Stormageddon, JD, Doug Leaf, Jason Emery, Brian Skirsha, Jenny E., Marcus O'Neill, Stefan, Drellish, Rigamort, Silcanet, Levi, John E., Aliasi, Aaron, Alan Kress, Doug T., Retro Overdrive, Magic Crow, Curly Bright, Ian L., Steve Yeager, Trash Dog Actual, Delaney and Jack McBride, Ethan Young, Michael Lassen, Michael Matuzak, Keith B., A Quack a Day, Jake Martin, Mike Kniff, Kugel, Michael Walbridge, and many more. Once again, I thank you all for your support. It means a lot to me and it helps out in a lot of different ways. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If anyone out there would like to join them, you can do so at patreon.com/realdavejackson. For all paid patrons, be on the lookout for a new poll at the beginning of July where we will be selecting a horror game for an October episode. Yes, we are that far ahead as far as the planning goes. So be on the lookout for that and a lot of other cool stuff going on the Patreon. Once again, that's patreon.com/realdavejackson. With that being said, let's get back to full spoilers for Minishoot Adventures. All right, we're back. It's full spoiler time for Minishoot Adventures. And a couple of disclaimers here. Number one, we're not going to go in a linear walk through the story. In fact, I'm going to talk about the ending very soon because those are the things that I would really constitute as spoilers. We're not going to walk through the dungeons and talk about, the puzzles and the boss fights. This is a game that honestly, peek behind the curtain. I didn't think I was going to do a spoiler section. And then I got to thinking about it today or yesterday and today. I'm losing track of time. And I thought there were some things it would be fun to have a quick chat about that are spoilers. So we're saving them for here, but this is not going to be the comprehensive, here's everything happening in Minishoot Adventures type of show. And that's not what this show really ever is. So, with that being said, we're on our way. So here's the big spoiler behind the apostrophe. They reveal why the title has an apostrophe after you beat the true final boss. I'm just kidding. They don't do that.
I was going to say, did I miss something? Because I did not see
No, they don't. I think it's funny. We joked about the apostrophe right at the beginning, never mentioned it again, even though it's outrageous. I do know the story of the apostrophe. I guess we're saving this for spoilers.
Okay. I didn't know. I don't know the story. I'm excited.
According to a post by one of the developers on Reddit, and I wish I could say according to the Fun and Games podcast interview, shout out Matt and Jen over there. But their episode's not out at the time we're recording this, but I know they asked the question about the apostrophe. What I know is that Minishoot is a contraction of something longer, like miniature shooters or something like that, contracted down to Minishoot with an apostrophe at the end. Now, I think that they said that they didn't remove the apostrophe because of a sentimental attachment. I think it is I think it's a really smart marketing thing to keep it in there because everyone, you see that title and you're like, what's that apostrophe doing there? And then you'll never forget Minishoot Adventures after that.
It's true. Because when I'm writing this review, I was like, wait, why is there an apostrophe for and I had to check like probably 3 or 4 times to be like, I did get that right? Is this right? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, no, that's right. That's the
Google
way.
Docs keeps underlining it and is like, hey,
Yes.
take that apostrophe
What are
out
you
of there.
doing?
And you're
Why do
like,
you
no,
have
no,
this?
no.
No, 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 no. That's the name of the game.
Me and the apostrophe, we're cool. It's fine. Trust me. Um, so that's the general story. By the time people hear this, I think Matt and Jen's interview with the developers will be out on the Fun and Games podcast.
Fun.
More odd punctuation, fun in quotations and games podcast. So um, I'll link that. I'll link their interview if I remember. We're in this weird zone where like me and Roger's discussion here exists. I think theirs also exists, but it's not released yet. And then this episode is going to come out 3 months later. It's all
Yeah.
we got crossing timelines. I'll put
Yeah,
a
I was
link to
gonna say
their
the
yeah,
time and space, they don't exist.
yes. I'll put a link down in the show notes to that. Now, with that being said, now that we know the secret of the apostrophe, the story in Minishoot Adventures. Remember a while ago I mentioned that the game story does have a kind of interesting thing to say about heroes in a story like this. And so the actual story of Minishoot Adventures is that thing that woke you up at the beginning is a god, and it's called like the Crystal Scarab or something like that. Um, and so when there is like calamity in this land, this god bestows all of its powers to a warrior or like a chosen one or something like that. And then they take all these god powers, they take care of business, they save the world and stuff like that. And then at the end, they're supposed to relinquish their powers back to the god. And in Minishoot Adventures, they refused to do that. The
Mm-mm.
hero before your ship refused to give the powers up, and they went crazy with power. And it's kind of interesting to think about in a game like this, especially in video games, where like so many of these games have you building up this power, and by the end of the game you kill a godlike creature or maybe god itself or something like that, and then it's like you're supposed to either give it up or just go back to normal life and not use those powers anymore. Like what happens to the party at the end of a Final Fantasy game
Yeah,
when
right?
they're more powerful than the gods,
That's
and
right.
then they just got to go back to normal life? Like, and so this game has this idea of like, actually they really liked being that powerful and they refused to give it up.
Mm. Well, and then what's really fascinating about that is the other enemies that you're fighting against, are they followers of the Unchosen?
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it doesn't, I don't think the game says anything like that, but it does make you wonder, was, you know, were these other ships like good at one time too? And then they're like, you know
Mm.
what? Like this guy's really powerful and or this ship is really powerful and we're gonna follow this ship. I don't know. I mean, it makes me think a little bit more uh about the enemies that I'm fighting against, right?
Hmm.
And and so I didn't get the true ending. I got an ending.
Yeah.
Um but I think I did look up the other endings after because like I didn't realize there was multiple endings until I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, like what is there more endings to this game?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there really is." And I was like, "Well, I'm not at this point. I'm not gonna get those other endings."
Hmm.
Um, but what's cool is the ship, the Unchosen, become looks like your ship, except like purple, like instead of the blue color,
Yeah,
right?
kind of corrupted, but is yeah,
Yeah.
was the same as you at one point.
Was the
Yeah.
same, and when you defeat it, at least the I don't know, maybe it's different for the other ones, but for the it starts as like this big corruption, and then it turns into a little ship, and it's like that's your enemy,
Yeah.
uh, and uh, and at the end, you have almost like this conversation between the two ships,
Hmm.
and then it just takes off and
Yeah.
leaves, and then it's like, well, what happened to it? Where is it going? Where, does it still exist? Like, will I face this again at some point? I mean, it doesn't nothing happens at the end. You just fireworks go off and you're back home and everything's happy. um
Mhm.
But it makes me wonder is like, does that protagonist out there somewhere? But I don't know if that's what happens. I don't remember what happens in the other endings. Maybe.
So yeah, that's part of the true ending is at a certain point you find the Unchosen, you catch up to it and you kind of it
Mm,
runs away and you chase it and you chase after it. And then you have like this big boss fight against it. And
mm,
I now they're blending together. I don't remember if it's in both of them or if it's just the final true ending thing. But at a certain point, you go through like these many, many waves of fighting the Unchosen. And I mean, it like throws everything at you. Like the last wave is like crazy. And then there's one final wave where it's trying to attack you and it just can't. It's like, it's
mm.
kind of pathetic. It's like stumbling around, like its shots sputter out after just like, they barely leave before they sputter out. And it's like running away from you in the arena as you're still fighting it. And so there's a point in that fight where I was like, oh, am I supposed to show it mercy?
Yeah.
Am I supposed and I you're not. You're supposed to
Oh.
like finish the fight. Uh you don't kill it, but
Mm,
like there is that moment where it's really sad. Like there's some other video games, I guess I won't spoil what they are, but it's kind of effective when a game will have its final boss, like the final phase of the final boss will be like, oh, this thing's just it's done. It's got nothing left. The fight's not over, but it's really got nothing left for you.
yeah.
Um, and we talked about how these ships emote just enough for you to like feel something for it. And it's like you can tell in that final phase, the Unchosen is scared. And
Mm,
it's like it's running away from you. It's like making those noises. It was running away from you before. And like whether it's scared of losing the power that it loves, or whether it's just like, oh shit, it's over. I'm afraid of the end, like that kind of thing. You can tell it's scared. And so it's like within all the abstractions of like these little ships and no dialogue and stuff like that, it still works to give you like a nice moment at the end of that.
mm, mm. It makes me wonder, and I'm just speculating here, right? So
Hmm.
like I don't know. But it makes me wonder, are you that ship? Are you like a different version, like a different alternate universe? Like
I
I
don't
don't
think it's
know,
an
maybe not.
alternate universe, but you are like similar. Like the Unchosen was a little ship thing like you are, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, and then it makes so either that, like, are you is it like a time loop where like now you are the the chosen one versus and the could you go unchosen? And I think you're going to talk about that where you, in a
Yeah.
moment. But if that's not the case, then what I mean, it was chosen by the gods and it was given the powers. What did it have to face then? Like, it would be interesting to see, like, what the history of that
Mm.
was, right? Like, what was its
Oh yeah.
enemy? What did it have to fight against? And yeah, I don't know, it's fascinating.
Minishoot Adventures 2, the prequel.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah. What's interesting about the story here is there's like one difference between your story and the Unchosen's story is the Unchosen was just gifted all of these powers by the god. So like they went from being, normal to being ultimate war machine. Whereas you had to
A
like,
blink of an eye.
yeah, you had to go collect everything. You had to go get everything one at a time from these places where the Unchosen had like hidden them or whatever, which I don't know, maybe there's some like characterization in that where it's like this, you had like more of a journey. You earned these things. This thing was like given it and then it didn't want to give it back. And so the question you asked about like, does your guy could they become Unchosen? The game kind of accounts for that by giving you this real curveball at the end of the game. After you do the true final boss stuff, you have to 100% the map. You have to beat all the races, and then there's an arena that opens up, and there's like
Mm.
I want to say like 9 or 10 arenas you have to do with a bunch of waves and like rematching bosses, and it's really hard. And you have to do you have to do this thing where you beat. Not only do you have to beat all the arenas, you have to do all of them with 5 hearts or more at the end of the arenas.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why the final true boss was really hard. It wasn't because it was killing me all the time. It was because like I would beat it with 4 hearts left. Next time I beat it with 2 hearts left. And like
Mm.
I think at the end of the game, I don't remember how many exactly you have, like 9 or 10. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's, you have to play really, really well. And so it took I would say a solid half hour of trying that true final boss to beat it. But once you do it, the thing the game does at the end is you go back to the place. You go up. You go back to the place. You go to a. I don't remember the specifics. I didn't write it down, but you go to a place that's been unlocked and marked on your map
Mm,
after you beat the true final boss, the Unchosen. The Unchosen's back in the town. It's all good, and I think it kind of marks this place for you to go to, and you get to go there, and that's where the Scarab God is.
mm,
And you go up this like celestial path and stuff like that, and you talk to the Scarab God, and it asks for the powers back, which in this game the way they gamify that is they ask you to delete your save,
wow.
um, which within the narrative of Minishoot Adventures, where the right thing to do, the narrative thing to do is to give your powers back. You can't really do that. You couldn't do that in Minishoot Adventures and still play the game, right?
Mm,
Because you'd lose everything. And you already 100% of the map. There's nothing left for you to do here
yeah,
anyway. So
yeah.
it asks you to delete your save file. And have you ever played a game that asks, you don't have to tell me what game, but have you ever
No,
played a game that asks you to delete your save file at the end?
no, no.
Okay.
Have you?
Yeah, there's two
Okay,
other like extremely notable ones
okay.
that I'll tell you when we're not recording.
Yeah.
Um, they're spoilers, and I've gotten people mad, I guess for good reason, for me spoiling other games in a different game spoilers section on the podcast. Like, I get it, spoilers are the whole thing here, so I won't do it. If you know, you know. But those games have a different narrative reason for asking you to delete your save, and it's a sacrifice that you're making, either to help someone else or a sacrifice to, like, your character's making a sacrifice. You, the player, also need to sacrifice something. What
Mm,
can you sacrifice? Your save data.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't know. What would you think if this game or any game asked you at the end to delete your save for a narrative reason?
I mean, you worked really hard for all of that, right?
You did.
And but to your point, you 100% of the game. There's nothing more for you to achieve. Um, so, but it is your final saying goodbye. That's kind of sad, actually. That's kind of a it's a sad it's a happy moment, but also a sad moment. Do you have the choice of saying no? Can you say no?
You can. Yeah.
Did be do you and I don't think it goes down this path, but it'd be amazing if you went back and said no, and then you're the corrupted. Like, that'd be
Hmm.
cool. That would be
You could
neat,
see
but
your little guy like turn purple or some shit,
yeah,
like
yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, that'd be awesome. Um, I think in this game, if I got that at and I didn't get this ending, but I think I probably would say yes, because it's like this final journey. It's this final moment of like, this is it. Like, I've reached the pinnacle, and it's time for me to return home.
Yeah. Your character needs to do what the Unchosen couldn't do and give up the powers. And from our perspective as the people playing the game, you've already done everything. There is nothing left for you to do unless you just want to grind and fight the basic enemies again. Um, so, but there is always that little hesitation of like, my save data, it's so precious. I don't know
Yeah.
why it feels precious. I don't replay games. I don't play New Game Plus. I don't do it often enough that I would care about the save data of anything but like my favorite games of all time. And starting over in Mini Shoot Adventures sounds fun. Like, so I guess what I'm trying to say is narratively, it makes a lot of sense. When it asked me the question, I was like, what? What the like, what is, why are you, this is a big swing you're taking here. And then it took a while for it to sink in like, oh, narratively, this is me giving up the gods' powers.
Yeah.
But
That's so cool.
it is cool. I'm just not as attached to save data as I think some people are.
Sure.
Where like when those other games that I will not name, um, there's two of them in the same series. When those other games ask you to delete your save data, it's more of an impactful choice because those games have chapter select and those games have a lot of collectibles and trophies, and you may want to do that kind of stuff. I guess you may want to trophy hunt in Minishoot Adventures too.
Mm,
I
mm.
don't think that like the attachment to save data is quite the same in Minishoot, but I do like the narrative reason for it. So it turned into something where or turned from in the moment. I was like, what are you guys trying to pull here? To later on, I was like, oh, that's what they were trying to pull. Kind of neat. Not a hard decision at all, but still kind of neat.
Yeah, yeah. I will say there are games where I did delete the save file just because I was frustrated with the game, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah. I like that. So mad. Deleting the game off your hard drive is not enough. You got to delete the
yes, no,
save file.
everything,
I
everything.
get those 40 megabytes off of my console.
That's right, that's right. Also, when I was a kid, you'd rent games, and you're
Yes.
like, "I'm not gonna let this other person,
Oh, hell no.
play." No, no, they have to earn it, which is kind of the same thing of The Unchosen, right? So, uh
Who knows? Who knows what dirty shit this kid's going to do with my Ocarina of Time save file when they rent it
Right?
after me.
Right? Yeah, listen,
Uh,
I'm not well, although what's really fun is when you rent a game and then you get and it still has your save file on it, and you're like, "Yes."
yeah. Lucky. Yeah. We always used to laugh at like, we just, you get an N64 cartridge, you take it home and be like, oh, there's a file for Chad. And you're like, man, fuck Chad, delete Chad's data. Uh,
But don't you wanna see where Chad was right before you delete it? Like, what was Chad up to before I delete this?
no, I have no, that's between Chad and God. I don't want any part of that. Uh, yeah. No, we used to just laugh at or maybe you get lucky and like you'd pull up a save file and they named Ocarina of Time, they named Link like ass face or something like that, and you get to laugh about that, and then you'd be like, all right, time to make our own file.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, that's cool that the Shoot Adventures. That's a cool narrative thing. I think that's really neat. So
Yeah, yeah, it's a nice little thing, and this isn't a game where New Game Plus would really be like, I don't want to start the game fully power, but you get like one of the things you get in 100%ing it, maybe you pick this up, is you get an upgraded shot that like when you're at full health, just like Zelda,
yeah,
when you're at full health, you get like this massive fucking energy ball that you shoot out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I got that.
Yeah.
I got that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
wouldn't want to start the game with that. I don't think New Game Plus would be super fun in this. Starting from zero would feel right because,
yeah.
so that is Minishoot Adventures. Neat little things to talk about in the spoiler section. Roger, thanks for coming back on the show and talking about this awesome game with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And like I said, when you saw that you wanted to have a guest on and talk about this game, I was like, count me in. And also, you have a really amazing show. So
Oh,
of
thank you.
course I want to be on your show. So I've said this before, but I think you do such a great job with what you do with your podcasting. You have a great podcast voice, which is part of like you need to have a good voice to podcast. But not only that, but
Or
like
a
your
good
shows.
microphone.
Oh,
Thank
one
you.
of the 2. That's one of the 2. But you also have a really, really great show, and I love your setup of your show, and, so I'm always happy to come back. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, thank you very much for the kind words, and those have bought you one more guest appearance on Tales from the Backlog at a future date. No, it's definitely always have you in my my Rolodex, so to speak, of good guests. So I'll definitely have you back on sometime. Appreciate the time that you've given me, and one more call for everyone who's still here at the end. Hey, I appreciate all of you too. Check down in the show notes for the Gamerheads podcast, the website for more podcasts and lots of written stuff as well. And yeah, if you're here at the end, you are my hero. Tune in next week for the next game to come out of the backlog.
Do you feel like you're the only person in your circle who wants to go deep about video games regularly?
We were like that too, until now.
Welcome to Crossplay Conversations, the brand new bi-weekly topical video game podcast from Luke Lewis,
Joseph Hooper,
And Jacob McCoy.
with many years of breaking it down separately on shows like the Left Behind Game Club, Player Podcast, and Lukewarm Games, the gang is finally coming together to publish their gaming group chat in audio form every other week.
Expect roundtable reviews of the latest games, profiles of upcoming indies, and insightful conversations about essential topics in the video game industry. All with a mostly positive, insightful, and fun style.
Help us out by subscribing on your podcast platform of choice to get the first episodes delivered straight to your feed.
And follow us on Twitter at Crossplay Convos for updates about the show.
Cheers and happy
gaming.
Welcome to Bits of Time, where we ask you the simple question, is this video game worth your time? And we're two brothers having a conversation about a game and why we loved it.
Or a difficult discussion about why I didn't or we didn't beat a game. So I hope you join us.
Because it gets pretty wacky sometimes with the questions we ask each other, and maybe a little heated every once in a while too. If you plan on sticking around, you'll be getting 2 episodes each month, the first and third Wednesday.
We also have a brand new debate-focused series, so if you want to be a part of it, join us.
Yeah, join us. Or, reach out, get in contact with us, and maybe you could be on the show with us and debating all kinds of things, granular or not. We'll see you then.